Okay, welcome back. This is Bio 310 Genetics at Nazareth College. I'm your host, Dr. Jen Gonzalez. This recorded lecture will take the place of the January 17th lecture that we will not have due to the observance of Martin Luther King Day programming, which is taking place during our class time. So this is a real basic introductory lecture, introduction to the course format, the course contents, what you can expect out of this course. I'll also talk a little bit about the laboratory as well. Just on housekeeping notes, this is my apartment, so I do have neighbors upstairs, and the sound kind of travels a little bit. They're very nice, but yeah, the walls are a little bit thin, so you might hear some background noises like walking around and stuff. And I also have a cat that's here. Okay, so real quick, who am I? If you don't know me already, I'm going to share screen real quick here. Okay, this is me. This is my intro slide. Okay, I am a second year professor here at Nazareth College. I'm originally from Vermont. I'm kind of a non-traditional person. I'm definitely a non-traditional student. I didn't go into college right away. After high school, I went into the military and I spent some time in the USMC there for about 7 years in a non-combat role during peacetime. I started my undergraduate in 2009, and then I went straight through and did my bachelor's and master's at the University of Vermont, and then I did my PhD at Cornell University. Here at Nazareth College, I am a biology professor. My specialty is plant biology, and I am the greenhouse manager. I also teach a bunch of other courses. I've taught clinical microbiology, the introductory courses, as well as ecology and evolution. I teach advanced scientific communication, and etc. So now, why am I teaching genetics? Okay, so my PhD is actually in the genetics of toxin biosynthesis in a plant pathogenic fungus. So I have some experience in both genetics and genomics. I feel pretty comfortable with the material. We're going to actually be using the experimental system that I studied during my PhD in our labs. And I'll explain that a little bit as well, and definitely explain more when we actually get to the labs starting next week. Okay, so now I've mentioned a couple times that as this is my first time teaching the class and I'm completely redesigning it, building it from scratch. All the lab activities are set up in such a way that we're going to actually be working with this one experimental system and coming at it from a multiple different angles, doing both experimental lab work with it, as well as some genomics and comparative genomics work with it using computer databases. So we're going to get a lot of different experience with this one experimental system, which I think is going to be a really good, well-rounded approach to a genetics lab. Okay, so let's take a look at the syllabus, which is in work. So please read the syllabus. I'm not going to go over all of it. I'm just going to go over things that I think might need clarification or might need some emphasis. So I'm just going to kind of cruise through the stuff that I think is self-explanatory, but if you have any questions about any aspect of the syllabus, please let me know and I will clarify, okay? So the first thing I want to do is point out, yes, my office hours are Mondays, 3 to 5. of course, you can basically get a hold of me almost anytime. All right. And we can meet via Zoom by appointment. This Monday is 3 to 5. I'm required to have a designated time slot where I'm in my office and the students can stop in. Okay. And that's Mondays 3 to 5. So I'll be there, Peckham Hall 104. You can stop in, or it'd be better if you make an appointment, because sometimes I run down to the greenhouse and I might get involved in something down there if there's nobody in my office that needs anything. So let me know in advance if you can, and so I can make sure that I'm in my seat and ready to answer your questions. All right, materials, Introduction to Genetic Analysis, 12th edition. That's this book, okay? Hopefully you have access to the book. It's really important that you do. I can't vouch for previous editions, especially because the homework assignments that we have are coming directly out of the book, most of them. And I don't know if the questions are going to be the same in previous versions of the text, okay? So if you need one, there'll be one on reserve in the library as soon as Monday or Tuesday. And if you can share one with somebody else, I highly encourage you to do so, because they're expensive textbooks. All right. So also, okay, let's next stop here at this course description and format. The course description is highlighted and I have not updated that. But in terms of the format, I would really like you to read the material in advance of the class, whatever the material is that we're going to be covering. I try to make the classes very interactive, where I talk to the students and I ask them questions, and I try to get students involved in more of a conversation, a dialogue, rather than a one-way lecture. So if you come prepared, it'll be much more engaging and entertaining, rather than me just lecturing, which I will have to do some of that, but hopefully be more interactive than that. Okay. So learning objectives. So a couple of these objectives are carryovers from Dr. Temple's class in previous iterations. Those being number 1 and 2 here, describing genes, the essential unit of information, hopefully from Bio 103 and possibly 104, 105, depending on which of those that you've taken. You have an understanding of, a basic understanding of genetics. We will spend the first week or week and a half or so, basically the first couple chapters are pretty much review of stuff that you've learned, maybe a little bit more in depth, stuff that's from 103 and 105, I think. Definitely 103, and we do cover some of that in 105. Okay. So identifying and commenting on relevant applications of genetics to biological research, blah, blah, blah. So one of the questions on each of the homework assignments will be something to do with genetics and society, where will be asked to interpret some information and give your opinion on how this applies in a larger context in society, which I think is really a good exercise. I'm also going to add a little bit more emphasis on bioinformatics. So the use of computer programs and different software to analyze genetic information. We're also going to do some work with phylogenetics, which is the use of specific software tools to understand or infer the evolutionary relationships between different organisms. And in our cases, we'll be looking at actually the evolutionary relationships between different genes or genomes. Okay. And comparative genomics, which might not make sense right now what that means, but basically that just means how different entire genomes are compared between different organisms. There's really cool tools out there that do this. We're going to kind of go maybe ankle deep in this water. It's really interesting and really fascinating. And we're also going to do some work with genome evolution. So how do genomes evolve? Okay, so yes, so this is the big broad strokes of what we'll be doing in the course. Um, Everything is either in the textbook or I'll be providing it on Moodle for reading. Communication policy. So I check my email all the time and I get back to my students as fast as humanly possible. I am carrying a bit of an overload this semester, so I have a couple of extra obligations. So I have a lot of students um, that may be asking questions and that I'll need to be getting back to. I also have college level like committee responsibilities and meetings that I have to attend and contribute to. So I work a lot. I love what I do. Uh, I'm always trying to get back to students as fast as possible. But if you do not hear back from me within 24 hours, please email me again, uh, because that probably means that it's falling down in my inbox, and I might miss it. Okay, usually isn't a problem, but it does happen. So if you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, email me again. Now, that being said, I do have a lot of students because of this overload, and I also have advisees, etc. So please try to get the answers if they're simple answers that you might be able to get from the syllabus. Try to use that resource first. If you have questions about the syllabus or the syllabus is not clear about answering your question, definitely get a hold of me. I will answer all questions that I receive. Okay. So we'll talk about assignments in a little bit here, but the due date policy. All right. Any assignments that are given will be due the following Wednesday prior to class. Okay, so by 10:30 in the morning, you should have submitted them into a Moodle folder. Okay. Um, Now, if they're submitted late, you'll get an automatic 10% reduction. If they're more than a week late, in other words, if they're not in by the next start of the next Wednesday lecture, then you won't get credit for them. Okay, so please be on top of that. Um, I'm doing things a little bit differently this year than I have in previous semesters. I'm not planning on accepting late work this semester like I have in previous semesters. Please don't assume that that's going to be a possibility. Make sure that you get the work in on time. Okay. All right. Okay. So I do want to make a note about inclusivity. Okay. I have not had any issues on campus. I think everybody on campus is really considerate and very respectful of their peers, and I think that's fantastic. Please, if you are aware of any situations and that I'm not aware of, uh, in which someone has expressed some something inappropriate towards another student, please let me know so that I can deal with it. Okay. But also, please be understanding that sometimes accidents happen. Sometimes people use incorrect or less preferred terminology for for different things, and it doesn't mean that there's any offense intended. So let's please be understanding with one another if missteps like that occur. Okay, but if there does appear, if there is an incident in which there may be some intentional expression of bias towards another student, I want to be aware of that and I want to address it. Okay, so if I don't notice it, please let me know. Okay, but like I said, I haven't had any problems in a year and a half here, and I think that's wonderful. So I don't expect there to be any problems. Okay. So yes, you have to get a 70% or better. That's a C minus to satisfy the biology department requirements for this course. Let's take a look at what you can expect in terms of exams. There are 4 exams in the course, okay? And the dates here are here with the exam schedule, so you can see when those dates are for those different exams. I want to talk real quick about the exams. So there's 4. They are going to get somewhat increasingly difficult as we go forward. The third exam will likely be the most difficult, and that's intentionally set up. Intentionally, that's how I design my classes. I try to do this like a ramp up in terms of difficulty, and I try to make the third exam like the most difficult of the semester. And there's still a few weeks left of the semester after that, which I try to make the class a little bit less stressful. I know at the end of the semester, you all have a lot of things coming due in a lot of different classes. Students get really overwhelmed with the amount of work that all comes due at the end of the semester. And it's really important to me to be considerate of mental health of my students. And so I try to get all of the hard work and stuff and all that out of the way by the third exam. That way, we're coming to like a smooth landing in this class, and you can kind of prioritize your other material from your other courses. I hope that makes sense. So exam 1, 2, and 3 are loosely going to follow parts 1, 2, and 3 of the textbook. Okay, so we're going to try to burn through part 1 of the textbook prior to the first exam, then part 2 for the second exam, and we're going to try to get to the end of part 3 for the third exam. There may be some carryover into exam 4, but what I'm hoping is that we'll get through part 1, 2, and 3, and then the fourth part will be more like special topics, stuff that is discussion-based application of genetics and genomics, and maybe some computer activities. Okay, so yes, third exam, most difficult, and then smooth landing after that. Okay, so other than the exams, there'll be homework and take-home quizzes. Okay, each the homework and whatever else might fall into homework assignments will be 20% of the grade. Take-home quizzes, there'll be 1 quiz every week. And that will be also 20% of the grade. I'll explain what those are going to look like here in a second. This is our standard grading scale, so you should be familiar with that. The final exam is not scheduled yet. We do have a final exam, and I was informed last semester that we actually have to have a final exam. It is for some type of a funding kind of reason that we actually have to have some type of a evaluation during finals week. So we have to have a final, and that final is going to actually be basically exam 4. Okay, it's not going to be comprehensive. It's going to be whatever we cover from exam 3 to the last day of class, and then that will be the final, which is going to be exam 4. Okay, so as soon as we have a date for that, I will let you know and I'll update this. Okay, cruising through. Again, please read. I'm only going to be stopping at things that I think need clarification or emphasis. Okay, I do have a YouTube channel. You're watching this on the YouTube channel. And that's for any kind of supplemental lectures or study sessions that I might post, or if there's something I think I can explain via supplemental information, I will post it there. I talked about reading. Okay, sketches. Okay, if you you took 103 with me, you know you have some experience with the sketches. I really think and believe in drawing as a tool for learning and integrating material into your long-term memory. So we're going to do a lot of that. Okay, there's going to be figures or diagrams from the textbook that I'll ask you to sketch, to draw, basically copying onto your own paper. Okay, and in the exams, I will ask you to draw those from scratch. Okay, so you will need to practice the sketches, the ones that you're assigned, and I will give you some information prior to the exam on which sketches you can expect to see. And then there will also be sketches that I won't tell you what they'll be, and you'll need to be able to generate those in the exam. Okay. So yes, each homework assignment will have some sketching, and the exam will also have sketching. So chapter homework, each chapter there'll be homework assigned for that chapter, and the homework is going to come from the problem sets in the textbook. Okay. And the sketches are going to be part of the homework, and those are also going to come from the chapter of the textbook. Okay. So what I'm thinking for starters is that we'll try like 10 questions and 3 or so sketches per chapter. If I think that should be okay in terms of workload, but if you if it seems to be that this is too much, and combined with the take-home quizzes, let's be in touch, and we can see what we can do about maybe reducing some of that while also trying to maintain emphasis on the stuff that we need to learn. Okay, so the homework assignments and the sketches, I would like those to be done by hand, not typed. Okay. And I know you're thinking, well, what is this? Like, I'm typing all the time. Why should I write this by hand? Okay. And that is for a couple of different reasons. All right. The first of which is that I've had some academic integrity issues in the past in a couple of classes, sadly, in which students were kind of sharing text and submitting that. So by asking you to do it by hand, there's only one person that can do your homework for you, and that's you. Okay. So you have to do it by hand. You have to do it yourself. All right. Secondly, I do strongly believe that writing things by hand, just like sketching them, is going to help you get this information into your long-term memory a lot easier than typing or just reading it or scanning it, etc. So it is going to be a little bit laborious, but you'll hopefully get used to it. And hopefully 10 questions per chapter and 3 sketches is not going to be too much, but we'll see. It's really important that you write and sketch clearly so that I can read it. All right. If I can't read it, I don't have time, unfortunately, to contact you for clarification. I just don't have time. So it's one shot and that's it. If I can't read it or if I can't interpret it, I'm just going to have to mark it incorrect and move on. Okay. And then you can ask me why you got points deducted, and I'll give you feedback in Moodle about that. Okay. So please be clear, and so that I can give you full credit. I want to give you full credit. Okay. All right. What else is about that? Since you're doing them by hand, okay, you'll need to get them into Moodle. Okay. And what students usually do in my classes is they'll either use their tablet or whatever that they're using, and they'll actually be drawing it out, and then they'll submit the image if they're using one of their pens that works with the tablets. Or if you're doing it by hand, like on a piece of paper, students will take a picture of it and submit the picture. Okay. Now it's got to be clear so that I can read it. Okay. If you send me a very fuzzy picture, out of focus and I can't read it, like I said, I have so many students and so many assignments that I'm trying to process. I'm not going to have time to go back and forth with email to try to get you to submit another version. Okay, so please check it before you submit it. Make sure that it's clear, that it's legible, so that there won't be any problems. Okay. All right. Take home quizzes. So every week there'll be one take home quiz. I'll hand that out no later than Friday in class. So it will be a paper quiz that I'll give you. And the quiz is going to be in the form of a crossword puzzle. Okay. So it's going to be a crossword puzzle with clues. And the clues and the puzzle itself are going to be drawn from the key terms in the back of the chapter. Okay. So what the point of this is for me to point out to you specific terms from the chapter that you will likely see again on the exam. Okay, so these take-home quizzes are not challenging. The answers are right there. Okay, you just need to pick the right answer, make sure it fits, make sure it works in the crossword puzzle, and then you have a study guide for the exam. Okay, for all the key terms that you need. Okay, so since that is, I give you the actual puzzle itself in on paper copy so that you can fill it in by hand, and then you can take a picture of it and submit that picture onto Moodle. Okay. Some students, what they like to do is they like to download the electronic version and then use their tablet to write in the answers. That's fine. And then they submit whatever the document is that is generated from that. That's totally fine if you want to do it that way. Okay, so review sessions. Uh, so I often try to do review sessions in class, the class period before the exam. And what I have found over the past couple semesters is that what it does is it really eats up class time and it makes it harder to cover more material. So what I've decided to do this semester is try to do review sessions outside of class and make them optional. So you don't have to attend them. I know you probably want to, and then it's a balancing act on my end because I need to cover them as I need to cover all the material. And like I said, I've been sacrificing too much class time. What happens is I end up squishing material and packing too much material in to make up for it, or having to cut material from the course altogether because I don't have time. So I can't sacrifice a class period for review sessions. I can't justify that um, anymore. So this semester I'm going to try to do it like this and see how it goes. And if this works, I'm going to keep this format going forward. So all exams you may have seen on the exam schedule, all exams are on Fridays. So the last new material that we'll cover is going to be the Wednesday prior to the exam. And the review session will be Wednesday evening. Okay. Now, I know not everybody can make it. We have a lot of athletes on campus who have games or practices. So I know it's going to be difficult. Students sometimes have classes in the evenings. I know it's a real difficult balancing act. Okay, so I'm going to hold them on Wednesday nights this semester. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to record them, and then I'll post them onto YouTube. Okay. So it is really important that you attend these in person if you can and not by Zoom. I've done the Zoom thing in review sessions and in classes. It's very difficult to provide a really high quality kind of experience for the students that are present, as well as the students that are via Zoom. Uh, it's just very difficult. Okay, and I'd rather not do that because when students attend by Zoom, it takes away from the experience of the students that are there in person. And the students that are attending by Zoom are only getting a fraction of what they could be getting if they were there in person. Okay, so please be there in person for the review sessions. If you can't make it in person, just plan to watch the recording. You can submit to me questions in advance, but I would really rather not have any Zoom attendees in review sessions, okay? Unless you're on COVID quarantine or quarantine due to COVID or isolation due to COVID, that's a separate story, okay? And we can talk about that, okay? So I hope that's clear. Please let me know if you have any questions. So exams, again, 4 exams. So the exam format will be true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank, um, any combination of these types of question formats. I also like to do diagram labeling. So I may provide you one of the figures from the textbook and give you some terms that you then have to use to label the figure, or something like that, like boxes on the figure where you put in letters to answer the question. There will be sketching on the exams. So the sketches will be directly from the sketches that were given as assigned homework, okay? And like I said a little bit ago, I will tell you some of the sketches that will be on the exam. I will tell you this sketch will be on the exam, this one, and so you will know which one to practice. There will be some that I don't tell you, but you'll know which ones they could be, okay? So I know that's it's difficult, but it is in my experience, in my opinion, it's very valuable, very valuable learning tool. Okay, and then there'll be probably a couple short answer questions on each exam. Okay. All right. So course calendars. So I do have calendars that I will be maintaining, in which you can look at to kind of get a sense of when things are due and what we're covering going forward. Let me open up the calendars right now. All right. Okay. So this is what the calendars look like. I generate them in Microsoft Word. Okay. So this is the January calendar, called the tentative schedule. Oh, where did all my contents go? Hold on. That's weird. Okay, here we go. All right, that's better. Okay, so here you can see what's coming, what we're going to be covering in class, okay, is in black font in the calendar cells here, okay, and assignments due are going to be in red font, okay. So what's happening on Monday? We're not having class, Monday the 17th, this is January. Video intro lecture on YouTube, which you're watching right now. Okay, on Wednesday, I would like you to have read chapter 1 plus the core principles, which is right at the end of chapter 1, as well as Appendix A. Okay, and on Friday, I would like you to have read chapter 2. Okay, so that's the material that we'll be covering in those class periods. All right, so next Wednesday, as I said, all assignments are due the Wednesday after they're given. So on Wednesday, we're going to do the assignments that will be due are chapter 1 homework, the Appendix A assignment, chapter 2 homework, as well as quiz number 1. So quiz number 1, I will give out here on Friday, and that will be due Wednesday, and as well as the chapter 1 appendix A and chapter 2 homeworks. Okay, so bare bones here for starters, but I'll get this filled in over the course of the week so you can kind of get a sense of where things are going. Every Wednesday, you'll see this red font telling you what is due on that day. And I know that on Moodle, Moodle also flags this stuff for you, which I think is really good. Really, it's really helpful. I don't really see Moodle from your perspective, but I understand from talking to students that it tells you when things are coming due, which is really cool. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. So this is how the calendars will work. Let me open up February's, which is also very bare bones here. There we go. Okay. Exam 1 here on February 11th. This evening review session, which is going to be optional but recorded and posted. Excuse me. And please remember that there's no class here on February 25th due to the reading day. Okay, so I'll populate all these cells with the chapters that we'll be covering on those different days. Every Wednesday is going to have assignments due, okay? And the exams will be pointed out as well as review sessions. All right. Okay, so how do you get the homework assignments? How do you know what the homework assignments are? Okay, in Moodle, you should be able to find the homework assignments document, which I'll open up right now. Okay, so this document I will maintain and keep updated so that you know what the homework assignments actually are. This is also the reading assignment as well. So here I'll tell you what parts of that chapter to actually read, or actually more to the point, I'll tell you which ones that you don't need to read. Other than that, you should read whatever is in the chapter, and then I'll give you the actual problem numbers from the problem set to answer, as well as which sketches to do. Okay, so here is chapter 1 and chapter 2. So this week's homework, you can see chapter 1 plus core principles, all of it, please. And the problem numbers are right there, as well as there's one genetics and society question in that problem set that I would like you to answer. Sketch these 3 figures from the text. Then there's an appendix A requirement. So take a look at appendix A. It's about gene nomenclature, and I would like you to copy over the Saccharomyces gene nomenclature. So this is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. This is the model organism. It's a fungus. It's a yeast is referred to as yeast, and that's really a reference to its growth form. It's a single cellular organism. So we're going to be doing in lab a lot of work with fungi, and so we'll be using the fungal gene nomenclature. Okay, so I want you to become very familiar with that. And a lot of the nomenclatures, there are some things that are similar across different organisms. There's some things that are not similar. We'll be using the fungal nomenclature mostly. All right, chapter 2, reading all, excluding section 2.4. We're not going to do that section. Okay, here are the homework assignments and the genetics and society question number 3. Okay, and notice here this says 63A, so just part A of question 63. So there are 10, both of these have 10 questions and 3 figures. And that's what I'm thinking we'll do unless there's reason to do otherwise throughout the course of the semester. Okay, all right. So Let me see if I've covered everything. Okay, all right. So yes, changes to the syllabus are likely to happen. Changes to the course content and schedule are very likely to happen. Please stay on your toes. Watch communications from me. I send emails when changes occur, and I also discuss them in class. So please stay abreast of what is going on in the class so you know about changes that come up. Okay, so the rest of the material in the syllabus is required syllabus statements by the department or the college. Please read through this, okay? Make sure that you're aware of all the stuff. It's the same stuff that you should be seeing on all of your other syllabi, so we're not going to read it all. Okay, I do have this statement regarding Turnitin here, which is something that I added. If we do end up going to a text-based submissions of anything, for some reason, those will be processed through the originality checker software called Turnitin, which you may be familiar with. Okay, so please be aware that if we do that, I'll let you know. We're going to be submitting this as text and it will go through Turnitin. Okay. Academic integrity is very important to me. Okay, and I want to say a few words about that and as well as about a couple of other things. Okay, so some personal details about me, okay, and why academic integrity is so important to me. Okay, I, um, okay, trying to put this in a politically correct kind of way, but uh, I know my limitations in terms of my intellectual abilities. I know that I have, I'm not like, I definitely don't consider myself to be an intellectual or even, I'm definitely not like brilliant or even super smart. But what I definitely can tell you is that I work really hard to compensate for um, my weaknesses. Okay. And that's how I've gotten as far as I have in my life. I made it through college, and I got a PhD, and I got this job by working really hard. Okay. Not because I'm somehow gifted, because I'm definitely not, but by really committing and working harder than anybody else that I knew. Okay, that's how I made it through. Okay, so academic integrity is very important to me because being a person who doesn't see themselves as naturally gifted intellectually and who has had to work really hard to overcome um, those shortcomings, um, to see other people taking shortcuts, uh, it really bothers me. Okay, I earned all of my grades, the good ones and the bad ones. It's all my work, and I made it through, and I expect the same thing of my students. Okay, so I take academic integrity very seriously. If there are any academic integrity violations in the class, I will pursue action. Okay, and I don't want to be in that position. I have been in that position, unfortunately, every semester so far here, and I'm kind of I don't want to be in that position anymore. So please do not engage in any kind of questionable activity. I don't know if you're aware, but there is some people on campus that I've heard from students who are willing to take money for academic work. Okay, this is very egregious to me. All right, and not just to me, but to the college itself. Uh, to take money for academic work is one of the top tier academic integrity violations, and you could be dismissed from the college for that. Okay, so do not engage in that. I don't know where that practice started. It is very bad. Okay, we're all here to learn. Okay, and sometimes we make mistakes. That's what learning is about. But if you turn in somebody else's work as your own, you're misrepresenting yourself and your capabilities to me, and therefore also to other people, potential employers, as well as your peers. Okay, and that's lying. Okay, so I won't tolerate it. Please don't do it. If I do find somebody has done that, it will be a very difficult conversation that I will have with you. Okay, so um, no more on that, please. I want to try to get through a semester without any academic integrity issues. Please don't engage in any kind of questionable activities. Okay. All right. Let's see what else there is to cover. Okay. All right. I think that's going to be it for this introductory lecture. We'll talk more about the lab stuff that we'll be doing next week when we get to our first actual lab. Myself and Eric D. Reddit has a difficulty pronouncing his name, but he's an amazing lab coordinator. Him and I will be running the lab sections. So we're getting the materials off the ground, and hopefully things will run really smoothly. We're going to do some cool experiments in the lab that we'll talk about next week when we get started there. Okay, let me see what else was there. Okay, so one more note on the Zoom stuff. Okay, so I have been pretty loose in the past about allowing students to attend class by Zoom for whatever reasons. I know that we're all under a lot of stress because of the pandemic and because of stuff that's going on in the country and in the world. Okay, so I try to make a lot of allowances to account for mental health. Mental health is really important to me. I exercise regularly, I have a personal life, and I engage with friends outside of work. I try to get a good amount of sleep every day. So I tend to be very forgiving for mental health reasons. And I think that we all should be kind of forgiving of each other for mental health reasons. Now, the one exception to that this semester is that I'm going to be not allowing students to attend by Zoom unless it is a COVID isolation situation. Okay, so please don't contact me to attend by Zoom unless it is COVID related. All right. It's okay to miss a class as long as you stay in touch with me. I mentioned the attendance policy earlier. So you can get the material from other students. I will not be recording lectures. And I will not be having people on Zoom unless it's COVID related. Okay, so please be there in person or have somebody that you can get the information from. And I know that I'm not trying to be like strict or too strict. I'm just learning from experience and how much extra work it's costing me to try to juggle all of the things that I try to do. Okay, so I'm trying to improve my teaching and improve the experience of the students, and some of that necessitates me cutting back on some of the allowances that I usually give in classes. Okay, so I think I've covered everything there for the introductory lecture. So on Wednesday, we'll be going over chapter 1 and the core principles, as well as appendix A. So please get a jump on that, and you can even try to get the homework done before class if you want to, and come with questions about the homework if you have questions. If you if you have any questions that come up between now and Wednesday, please send me an email and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I'll be in my office Monday, tomorrow, between 3 and 5, if anything comes up there. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of editing to this video and I'll get it posted onto YouTube as soon as possible. I'm really looking forward to the class this semester. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope that you have fun. I try to make it a low pressure environment and try to make it relaxing and fun. So please hope that you feel the same way. Okay, all right, that's going to be all, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Okay, goodbye now.